Well, welcome to the shop. Today I'm going to be swapping out the laser tube on my AP Lazer model SN1812. This is my 30 watt CO2. It went out on me and I just got my new laser tube in. So I'm going to take you along and show you how we're going to swap out that laser tube. It's not that hard. Be right back. All right, as you can see, I've opened up the back of my laser, and the first thing I've already done is I've already disconnected the water hoses and pumped out the majority of the water. There's still some left in the tank, but the tube is empty. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the rubber hoses, and I want to let them and keep them covered just in case there's any. We'll see if we can get it out of here, but just in case any water were to drip out, I'd rather go ahead and drip on my floor. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to remove this one. So the next thing I need to do is obviously I'm going to unplug the power supply. And I'm going to turn the key on, discharge any built up power. There's none in there, so we're good to go. I've got a screw here and here that I need to take these leads off. These two right here with a Phillips head screw, and then I've got four number 3 metric set screws to release right here. So let's get these wires loose first. Alright, so now that we've got the power leads off, we're going to release the 4 set screws that are holding the tube in place. Again, this is a number 3 set screw metric. So, just like that, this tube is ready to come out. Now I want to keep these little sleeves right here, okay? And you want to pay attention because it does say this side up, and I've already verified on the other laser tube that it says the same thing. So we want to make sure that we're going to take this one out. We're going to put the other one back in the same orientation. So let me get the other laser tube out and I'll bring it over to you to show you. And again, it says this side up, so we're going to make sure we have that side up when it's all said and done. Let me put these Teflon sleeves in there. Get them around it. There we go. Okay. So we got this side up like we're supposed to have. Now we're going to go reverse. We're going to be putting the straps back down, and we're going to start on this side over here. So we're not going to go crazy tight. We want just enough to hold it in. We don't want to break the glass or anything like that. Now what I did, because that didn't really fit that well, I cut a little slot to make it a little bit easier for it to fit over. And you know what, I'm going to loosen that up and point that screw towards the front, that lead. That makes it a little bit easier to fit that away. There we go, got a better view. So now, that's going to go back in right there. Hook the water hose up, okay. So now what I want to do is go ahead and get the sleeves back in place and get the tube clamped down. Now we'll take the set screws and put them back in, and we'll lock the tube in place. On this end, we're going to remove this little screw so that we can connect the opposite cable to it. Okay, all right, so now our wires are all back. Last thing I got to do behind here right now is reconnect the water hose. Water hose is on, water hose is on. These stayed connected. And that right there is a swapped out Lazer tube. So the next thing I need to do is to go ahead and top off the water reservoir and then power it up and watch the water circulate through, make sure that there are no bubbles or anything. So I'll be right back. All right, in our toolboxes from AP Lazer, we have the lens cleaning, our lens tool. It also works to remove the cap on your reservoir, and you can just get it started. And I don't know, if you got fat fingers like me, you gotta let it go all the way, let it undo all of it. But anyway, I'm gonna get that out of the way. So the first thing I want to do is, while I'm here, I'm just gonna go ahead and I take a squeeze bulb, and well, I've got about all the water out of it I can. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and take these screws off so I can get right down in there. I'll be right back. Okay, off camera, I went ahead and removed the screws that were holding the lid on top of the tank. And now I'm going to use this squeeze bulb to go down in there, and I'm just going to start vacuuming up the water. You're not going to get 100% of it out, but you can get enough out of it that you can get a good clean swap out. That's about all I can get out of it. So, but what that's done is that's cleaned out the reservoir, which you need to do periodically, at least twice a year. You need to swap it out, clean it out. Okay, tightening up the last screw on the cap to the water reservoir. Got that snugged up. So the next thing we're going to do is fill the water back up. So we're going to put the little funnel in. All right, we've got the funnel in. We're just going to pour just a little bit at a time. Don't want to go crazy, don't want to go too full. Check and see where we're at. Need to be about 1/4 of an inch below the lid, and that would be full. A little ways to go. That's good right there for me. I think that's plenty good. So now we'll take the funnel out, drop it in the other bucket, and we'll put the lid back on. And then using the same wrench for the lens that we took the lid off, cap off with, we put it right back on. So that has the back side of the reservoir back in place and ready to go. This little wire right here is the thermocouple. That's the sensor for your water temperature. If that's not reading on your digital readout, it's more than likely the thermocouple's gone out, and it's just a simple one wire to unclip. You pull the other one out, you put the new one back in, just feed it right on back through and plug it right back in, and you're back up and running. So I mean, it's a real simple process to take care of. So I want to make sure that everything's out of the way. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and plug it back in. And we're going to turn on the Lazer, and we're going to see if we've got the water pumping through. And we'll probably have to add some more water to the tank because it's going to fill up the tube. Okay, it's all filled up there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add some more water to it. One of the things you don't want to see, let me get over here, see if I can zoom in. They're gone now, but there were some little bitty bubbles in there, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the Lazer off, and then I'm going to undo the cap, add some more water to the reservoir, and we'll get it topped off again. Get my distilled water. Now here on the Texas Gulf Coast, even though we just had freezing weather, which is not our norm. My shop's very well insulated. In fact, it's better insulated than my house, to be honest with you. So what I'm getting at is we don't freeze a lot. I don't need the antifreeze in my unit. So I just run the distilled water in mine. I've not had in 4 years, I've not had an issue with my water freezing or my tubes or anything like that. So it's not an issue that here on the Gulf Coast we need to be concerned about. Those of you who live in colder climates, yeah, get the antifreeze from AP Lazer. Don't use RB, don't use car antifreeze. It's different. And as it's been stated several times before, the antifreeze that AP sells is formulated for our lasers. So I highly recommend, if you in an area where you need the antifreeze, use the antifreeze from AP Lazer. All right, now I'm going to turn things back around and we're going to button up the back over here, and then we're going to get into the laser alignment. Be right back. Okay, what I'm doing right now before I actually button everything down is I want to run the pump just a little bit more, and I want to make sure that the only bubbles that I see are right here in the water pump. There you want to see the bubbles. But all through these hoses, and all through the tube, you do not want to see any bubbles at all. So I'm letting it run just a minute or two just to make sure that I don't have any water bubbles or air bubbles inside the tube. And it all looks really good to me. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with the alignment. I'll be right back. Okay, off camera, I have removed the inspection plate over here on the right side of my machine. Actually, it's the left side, but it's the right side where I'm standing at. But anyway, what that's going to allow me to do is to take this quarter that I have covered in tape, and it's going to allow me to position it over the #1 mirror. And the quarter covers and protects the lens or the mirror and holds the tape in place. And then what I need to do now is turn my laser back on and close this rear lid so that it will fire. And then what I want to do is just do a quick pulse. As soon as it's there, I want to move everything over here to position 2 or position 1, which is the back left corner. Make that my origin. But now what I want to do is close the door, and I'll just take a quick pulse, and then I'm going to open the door back up. And what I want to do is I want to look in there and see if the laser tube hit pretty much in the center. And here I am acting like I can see. I got to put my glasses on. So, and I'm happy with it. It's pretty much exactly where I wanted it to go. That's pretty much dead center. So our next step is we're going to check at mirror 2, which is on the inside of the cabinet. So hang on, I'll switch this around. Okay, I took the quarter that's covered by tape off of mirror #1, and I've put it here on mirror #2, and I'm going to close my lids so that the laser will fire, and we'll do a quick pulse, and we will see where, moved around on us, where on that mirror did it hit. Let's get it out here where we can see. I don't know if y'all can see or not, but It's a little bit high. Okay, now you can see it's burned a little bit high, but that's okay. It's reasonably close to where the mirror number 1 burned. So we're going to get that a little bit closer to the center, and so to do that we're going to use mirror 1 to center the mark on mirror number 2. So I need to move that right back over there to that home that I wanted it to be. And so I was a little high and to the right, so now I need to adjust mirror number 1. Hang on. Okay, I've made adjustments to mirror number 1 to try to bring it down and to the left a little bit. We'll pulse it and we'll take another look and see if we got it closer to the center of the tape. Let's move it up here where we can see. I'll take a quick look, and I like where it's at there. So hang on, we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, the next step is to put a piece of tape over mirror number 3, which I have already done. You can see the little tape sticking up right there. And we've got the mirror 3 back at position 1, and we're going to close the lid and we're going to pulse that one, and we're going to check and see if we're close to the center. So we'll bring it out. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just kind of press around the opening and give myself a little ring in that tape to take a look at and see where it's at. And it's a little bit to the right, to the left, so I want to bring it back to the right. So what I've got to do with the mirror, with the number 3 lens back in the corner there, I'm going to have to use mirror number 2 to center that mark. So I'm going to reach in here and just a little, not much, just a little bit of a twist. Okay, we're going to close the lid. We're going to take another pulse. Whoop. Man, this thing moves around a lot when it's not on lockdown. Okay, let's move it out here and let's see if we can tell a difference of where that hit. And it hit pretty much about in the same spot. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put another little piece of tape over it, and gives us a new, fresh perspective of what we're looking at. So now we can see for sure. Let's send it back home. I know y'all can't see it while it's back over there. Pulse it. We'll bring it back over here. And we're still just a little bit to the left. So I want to bring mirror number 2 out just a little bit more. Not a whole lot. And I'm going to put yet another piece of tape over that. Send it home. Pulse it. Bring it back to C. We're getting closer. I want to bring it over to the right just a little bit more. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off on that screw and move that one a little bit more. Put another piece of tape. In fact, I'm going to get these all out of the way. Start with a brand new one. We'll send it home. Pulse it. Bring it back home. I think that's very, very close. I could go a little bit more and bring it in just a little bit more to the right, but you know what? That's pretty awesome positioning right there. So now the next thing we do is we need to check and see if positions 1 and 2 overlap each other. Okay. All right. Send that back home. We're going to close there and pulse. I'm going to come up here to position 2 and pulse. And then let's slide back and see if it looks like. Okay, they are not exactly over each other. So I'm going to do that again because I didn't pay attention to see which one was where. Because one is more in the center than the other, and that's the one I want to try to get to. Put that over there. I'm going to send it home. We'll pulse it. Oop. Nope. Exit. Hit pulse, idiot. We'll pulse it. Okay, so position 1 is pretty much right on the money. So let's go ahead and go to position 2. All right, we're already there. Pulse that one. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, pulse 2, position 2 is a little bit low. So let's see what it tells me I got to do here. So we're going to go back, and I want to adjust for position 2, and we're going to use the mirror 1 to center the mark on the mirror. So let's put another little piece of tape over it. But this time we're going to be doing it on mirror number 2 and try to get it better aligned. And send mirror number 2 home. Gonna pulse it. I think it might be mirror 1 that's out of position, so we'll put a new fresh piece of tape over that, and we'll take that back over to mirror number 1 and do another test on it. Hang on, be right back. Well, it's been a week or so since the last part of the mirror alignment that you saw after I replaced the tube on my 1812. My battery died, and then I had a bunch of other orders come in. I got kind of sidetracked, and I just didn't have a chance to get back to the alignment. But what I found out was I fiddled with it and got it what I thought was pretty close. And then I got some black poster board to do some testing on. Yeah, I wasn't close because the testing that I did on the black poster board, believe it or not, to get a decent engraving on the poster board, I was having to run nearly 50% power. And usually at 23% power, I'm burning through the poster board. So I knew it wasn't right. So I had some time then to go ahead and start the alignment all over. So I did something a little bit different. I didn't use the quarter this time because I just found it was a little deceiving in trying to make sure that the quarter was lined up the same on each mirror, which was hard to do. So what I did was I opted to use just the tape over the mirror, and all I wanted to do was just to just feel around the outside of the mirror, the frame, or the holder of the mirror to get a little indentation on the tape so I could see. And then I wanted to shoot for the center of that piece of tape on that particular mirror. And then after I had that lined up and I liked where it was at, as close to the center, uh, then I pulled the tape off, cleaned that mirror to make sure there was no tape residue on it, and then proceeded on to the next step. Now, the manual and AP Tech will also tell you that you don't have to be dead center of the mirrors, but you got to make sure that your beam is hitting in relatively the same spot in all three positions that you do the testing on all the mirrors. To me, it was just easier if I had that little indentation or marking of the tape, just enough to rub just enough on the face of the holder to give me a reference mark. It was just easier for me to try to shoot for the center. So that's what I did. And in just a matter of minutes, I had it lined up really, really well. And of course, the big factor was I was relatively close beforehand, but I wasn't on target. And the mirrors were not lined up exactly as they should have been. But reshooting and shooting for the center, I think, is what helped me get there a whole lot quicker. But again, like I said, I was close, but I wasn't on the money. As I said on the last segment you saw, I was going back and realigning mirror one. I thought mirror two was out. I was going back to mirror number one and starting all over again. But anyway, I got it worked out, and that's what matters. So I want to thank tech support for getting me my new tube in a hurry. Like I said, I was in the middle of doing 415 water bottles for a customer, and I was down. And so they got me my tube just as soon as they could, and I really appreciate them helping me out on that. So if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll answer them as best I can. Um, and again, I'm not the guru, but I just thought this is something to make a video on that I would like to share with other people in our group. So if you got any questions, reach out to me and I'll answer them as best I can. Hey, until my next video comes out, if y'all would, please hug all your family and friends. Let them know you love them, and God bless.